Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Hines On Air, your weekly dose of inspiration, motivation, and real-life entrepreneurial stories. I'm Matt Hines, your host, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey. From building a successful law firm to venturing into other industries like real estate and social media, I've experienced both the triumphs and the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. I've learned firsthand the importance of resilience, adaptability, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. On Hines On Air, we're diving deep into the world of business, law, and personal growth. Join me as I chat with incredible guests who have faced adversity, defied expectations, and achieved extraordinary success. We'll discuss their strategies, their mindset, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply someone looking for a little inspiration, Hines On Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories. Let's get started.
It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
I will very simply put America first.
Hello, everybody. Matt Hines here, Hines On Air, back at you. Look, the new Trump administration has taken control, and we are here to discuss some of the things that I think are important, some of the things I'm excited about, some of the things I'm not excited about, and anyway, just get some points of agreement on where we are moving forward, what all is happening. All right, so here is Hines On Air's take on the future of America. Starting at number one, with the last presidential, with our last president, Joe Biden. I'm going to be honest, I don't think we really know who was just running our country, at least for the last 2 years, because Joe Biden was not making decisions. And if you have any question about it, we've all doubted this because we've been seeing his mental decline and all, and I feel for the guy. I don't want to ridicule him because he's going through this condition, but he's the president, and we do need to know what has been happening behind a lot of the decisions that we've been seeing. If you've had any doubt, you need to go on YouTube, watch Speaker Mike Johnson, he's Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson's interview podcast with Barry Weiss. All right, this is revealing. And in that, Mike Johnson tells a story. He says he wanted to talk to President Biden about some issues. He had been requesting a meeting with Joe Biden. They would refuse continually to give him this one-on-one meeting. They just kept blocking him. Finally, he got the meeting. The meeting starts, and you have Chuck Schumer, you have, of course, Kamala Harris, and some others in the meeting with him. Wouldn't leave Biden alone with someone, basically. Finally, Biden says, guys, just give us just a minute. Let me just speak with the speaker here for a second. And Mike Johnson says, President, with all due respect, why did you freeze the LNG exports? Now, LNG stands for liquefied natural gas. Anyway, it's just one of the exports we were doing. And the president says, no, I didn't do that. And Speaker Johnson says, well, you signed an executive order demanding that it be stopped. He's like, you absolutely did. He said, I can show you the executive order with your signature. We can go out right now and have it printed, and I'll show you that you signed it. President Biden responds, oh, no. I didn't stop anything. I signed something authorizing test on liquefied natural gas. So basically, President Biden did not know what he signed. There was an executive order signed by Joe Biden, but apparently President Biden did not even know what he signed. It's horrible. And it makes you question kind of everything that's been happening over the last 4 years because there have been so many decisions which just did not make any sense. It just didn't make sense. So I don't know who was behind half the stuff, whether it's the indictments against Trump, whether it's the Ukraine policy, whether it's opening up the border. We don't know. I tell you, I do believe we will find out. With all the new people coming in, we're going to find out what's been happening. But it's scary to think that our government's been run by a few vested interests that really didn't have the America's interest in mind. So we'll see. But a lot of exciting things are going to take place. Number one of the things I was most distressed about in this last campaign was the censorship of information. And the fact that the Biden administration, the Department of Justice, whoever it was, the fact that they would go into social media companies, set up FBI, CIA cells or groups to monitor misinformation or disinformation or Hunter Biden laptop or COVID or whatever it was would stop the flow of information throughout the United States. That is a level of control that I would have only imagined would take place in a crazy communist country. Just somebody overrun with governmental control and no personal freedoms. I would have never thought that would actually happen in America. But it did. It happened. There's no doubt that they were in there. Christopher Wray, who was head of FBI, has been asked about it. He dodges all of the questions. But they were in there censoring information that they did not want the public to hear about, whether it was about Hunter Biden or COVID or whatever it might have been. That's crazy to me that it got to that point. But it did. That happened. And now we have executive orders completely dismantling all of those efforts to stop information from the public. That is a great thing. It's scary to think, for me, what would have happened if Kamala would have won and we would have continued this type of government. I don't know where we'd be. It's scary to think if they'd have continued on with these types of policies without being checked really by anybody. Because for so long, all we could do was complain on podcasts and on the media that we didn't like it, that we didn't think it was fair. But there's not a whole lot to do to stop it. Well, finally, thankfully, it is being stopped. These types of actions they're putting an end to it. Mark Zuckerberg right now has taken some flack, and I actually feel for the guy a little bit. I mean, we're seeing all these tech CEOs. Now they're all on Team Trump. Earlier they were with Biden maybe, or, they kind of flip-flop based on whatever the political tides are happening. But from what I understand, somebody like Mark Zuckerberg was approached by the FBI and the CIA. And they were like, look, we'd like your cooperation. There's some disinformation coming out about Russia, about Hunter Biden, COVID, and all stuff. We'd like your help in getting rid of this information. Now, there's something called Section 230. Basically, Section 230 says that social media companies are immune from liability if somebody posts something wrong on their site. All right, so if I go on and I say, John over here stole money from his employer, and I'm lying, I could be liable, but you couldn't attack Facebook for having it on their platform. And Section 230 provides that protection. Now, the government went into Mark Zuckerberg and others and was like, look, if you don't cooperate with us, it's possible you're not going to have the protection of 230, which would kill all of them. Kill Facebook, also his other company, Instagram, would kill them all, because there's no way you could screen out every piece of false information that's put on that platform. There's no way. So that would essentially kill it. So with the government coming in and making threats like that, I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're Zuckerberg or one of these other guys. I'm glad he's coming out now and making a stance, and some people are questioning his, allegiance or where he truly stands. They're just saying he's kind of flip-flopping based on the newest president. But that would be a tough situation for a young CEO like Zuckerberg to have. Do you cooperate, or do you call their bluff and hope they don't remove the protections of Section 230 that Facebook or Meta completely relies upon to operate? That's a tough situation. But it's just more of the tactics that the Biden administration was using to control the public, to control information. Well, all that crap is gone, and that is so important for the survival of the U.S. The indictments and all against Trump, that's been talked about to death. Whether you're for Trump or against Trump, the fact that somebody declares to be interested in the office of the president, to run for president, and all of a sudden you have 4 indictments from 4 different areas of the United States all coincide at the same time to stop this individual from running for president. Okay, that is fascist, communist bullshit. It should never happen. If you think it is coincidence that these 4 jurisdictions, these DAs in separate areas, just happen to make this decision to indict all at the same time, well, you are an idiot. All right, that is a coordinated attack by the Biden administration against a political opponent. And we all kind of know that. We all know that, but still, the fact that it could happen is it deserves its place in history, because it's just something I personally never thought was possible in America. In one of these South American countries where you still got the communists running, or China, or somewhere else, yeah, they're doing that kind of crap. But I didn't see it possible in America. However, we have it. So I'm hoping it is the end of those kinds of actions. Well, another big issue that we have in America is the issue of immigration. And on this point, Trump, I believe, is doing good things. However, there are also some bad things. I don't agree with everything he's doing on this front. Number one, I do think it's good that he's closed the border. That was a necessary action, no matter how you look at it, that had to happen. I do think it's great that he has labeled the cartels as terrorists.
We will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
That to me is an exciting prospect. To have the idea of the Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 or some other special ops group going in there and laying waste to a cartel, to me is exciting. I don't know how else it's ever going to stop. I don't know that the natural cycle of things in Mexico and with the government, I don't see the cartels ever getting stopped. Everybody knows the cartels and the governments are hand in glove. They're working close. There's no end to that. And the bravery and sort of the callousness that they're operating at right now, just coming across the border, bringing the fentanyl, human trafficking, they don't care. There is no respect of the U.S. right now. So until something great happens, it's not going to stop.
I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks.
So it is good that he labeled them terrorists. It's going to broaden his powers with the military, with actions. It allows them to seize assets of the cartel. It allows them to do a lot more things which are needed to do. So there's some good things on immigration. The negative side of the whole immigration policy.
We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions, that have illegally entered our country from all over the world.
If you think that all illegal immigrants are criminals or insane or bad people, then you are completely wrong. They are not. The very large majority of these individuals are great people and do contribute to the United States of America. And I understand that deportations may be necessary. Certainly if somebody's been convicted of a violent crime, a gang member who's, these Venezuelan gangs and stuff that are going around, yes, get them the hell out of here. But I pray that these mass deportations going into schools and homes and apartments and businesses and raids of this kind, that's a ridiculous scene that I hope we never have to go through. That should not happen. It's not necessary. It's not going to help America, and it doesn't help America in any way. All right, they're not taking the jobs. They're not taking all of the housing market like has been put forward. Those are ridiculous arguments. They're not. So controlled immigration policy is good, not this berserk, insane, let's go find all the illegals and mass deport all of them. That's not necessary. That should not happen. It should not. I work with many illegal, undocumented immigrants, and I can tell you firsthand, they're great people. For the most part, these are great people. I think we all agree Trump's policies on the wars are fantastic.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
Get us out of Ukraine, stop that endless war, stop the Hamas, Palestinian-Israel fight. Just bring it to an end. All right, the lobbying from the defense sector to continue these wars, it solves nothing. And in the end, whether these wars go for another 5 years or 10 years and another 100,000 million people die, you're not going to see any major changes. The only thing that will have changed at the end of these wars are that many innocent people died and they never should have.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
That's all. So bring the war to an end. Stop it. Even if Russia gets some of Ukraine, even if Ukraine has to make sacrifices that you don't think they should have made, stop the war. Trump's got that in mind, and I believe he's going to do that. That's a great policy that Trump is pushing.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Yeah, drill. I agree. Drill. Bring the jobs back here. Bring the money, the income, everything. Most of our trade comes from Canada and Mexico. Of course, we have to deal with Russia and China on some of these issues. But bring it to America. Let's keep the money. Let's keep the profits. Let's keep the jobs. That's kind of a duh statement. Just bring it home. One of the things I always have loved about Trump is the way he just stands up and says what I think most of us would agree is correct. He just says it. Whether you're a world leader, whether you're the media, he says what should be said. And I'll give you an example. So Trump just signed an executive order to drop out of the World Health Organization, the WHO. WHO puts on a great facade. There's a lot of questionable activities throughout history of the World Health Organization. I'm going to leave it at that. That's a topic for an entirely different podcast. But he's dropping out of the World Health Organization, citing their political influence, their being politically influenced, their handling of COVID, and the imbalanced funding of that group. And one thing that's been mentioned, for instance, the United States contributed $500 million to the WHO. China contributed $38 million. China has about 4 times as many people as the United States. Yet they're contributing 38 to our 500 million. That's a joke. Anybody would know that. Anybody would look at those numbers and see, well, that's a ridiculous circumstance. Like, why are we allowing that to happen? Other presidents see it. They just don't do anything. Trump says that's ridiculous. We're going to stop it. That's not the only reason. Not just the funding is it's not the only reason that he's decided to back out of the WHO, but that's one. And it just shows how ridiculous the circumstances is. The funding of NATO. One of the things that is shown on YouTube is the meeting with Trump, and I think it's the German president. And he's sitting there telling the German president, look, we're contributing, I forgot the numbers, 4 trillion, something crazy, whereas the other companies are contributing, 10% of that. Now, that is a discrepancy that all presidents have acknowledged. Biden saw it. Obama saw it. Clinton saw it. They didn't do anything. They said it's wrong. They said it shouldn't happen. And then they just went, okay. Then they went back home and never did anything about it. But Trump holds your feet to the fire. It's like, no, we're stopping it. You either ante up or we're out. And that should happen. That should happen. So that is where it's exciting to watch Trump in action because he stands up for what's right. Yeah, sometimes he says stupid things. He's definitely said stupid things in the past. But overall, the policies, what he executes on is great. And lastly, one thing I want to cover. This is one of the things I am most excited about in the entire new nominees and administration that Trump is bringing on. And this is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Make America Healthy Again. This has not been an issue until Robert F. Kennedy joined the whole Trump organization and pushed this and made it important. But in all honesty, to me, this is one of the most important things facing America, is the health of the children and of the people of the United States.
Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free.
So many things are wrong and have been wrong for so many years and have just become acceptable. Disease, chronic disorders, ADHD, all this crap, these have become the norm, and they're not the norm. They're an exception. They are an aberration of the way things should be. It should have been stopped when it started, not just become another thing for the drug companies to treat. It should have been stopped. And a large part of the cause of this is the diet, the health, or what people put in their bodies. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hasn't been appointed yet. We know that. He's been nominated for Health and Human Services, Director of Health and Human Services, replacing Anthony Fauci. Good riddance to that guy. But that change is so phenomenal and so exciting. Before even taking office, just with the issues that RFK Jr. is pushing, we already have red dye number 3 has been removed. Red dye number 3 has been linked to cancer. It's been linked to all kinds of health issues. Yet the food companies just continue, and drug companies continue to put it in their products. They know it's wrong. Why do they do it? Well, because nobody else has ever said stop. The FDA wasn't doing their job. And no other government was stepping up and saying, stop this. Why are you doing it? There's other food colorings. For instance, the yellow dye that is put in some of the cereals are used in America. But get this, the same cereal is sold in other countries, and when it's advertised in those other countries, part of the advertisement proclaims, guess what? We don't use yellow dye in our cereal. Right? That's one of the marketing pitches that they tell these consumers so that they'll buy the cereal. They're bragging that they don't use the yellow dye. Yet in America, it's everywhere. It's known. It's obviously known that it's harmful. But they just put it in America. Why? Because nobody was brave enough to step up and stop them. So this is huge. Coca-Cola is considering or being pressured, as far as what I understand, to stop using the high fructose corn syrup in their products. That's been linked to liver disease, obesity, all kinds of health issues. We've known it for years, yet there it continues. That's being pressed to be stopped. And the new administration hasn't even started yet. So I hope Robert F. Kennedy Jr. takes a sledgehammer to the whole system, to all the established norms, and with the FDA, with all the food companies, everything that's considered normal health risk or whatever that we just have to deal with in our lives. He's about to clean it up, and Lord, I hope he does. That is a great movement. I don't think it has deserved or garnered as much attention as it should. That's massive. That could be, to me, that's as important as anything else, is our health. Forget immigration, forget even inflation, as horrible as that is. If you're not healthy, nothing else really matters. So go RFK Jr. I hope you're turning around, brother. But anyway, that's been some of the most important points that I've seen as far as the new administration goes. It is very exciting. It is extremely exciting. I hope you stand behind it. If you're not a Trump fan, and I hope you at least listen and watch what is happening. I understand people that I know, that I'm close to, that I love, can't stand Trump. He could rescue small children from a burning building, and he'd still be the worst person on planet Earth. So, but just watch the policies. Watch what is happening in America. Forget who they start with. All right? Just watch the effects is all I ask. But with that said, it's been a Hines On Air. I hope you got something out of it. If you disagree with anything I've said, or you want to add something to what I've said, please feel free to comment. Call me out on anything if I was wrong or whatever. We enjoy that here. But anyway, click the subscribe button, like it below, leave comments, and we'll see you at the next episode. Hines On Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories.